If a coach in America would like to get coaching education awards, diploma certificates to put on their resume to improve their coaching, and or they would like to improve the coaching skills of their assistants, and this is something also that potentially could be good for your student athletes to do while they're still in high school and or graduating into college, because these types of awards can sit on a kid's resume and help with a kid for extracurricular, um, maybe help with the college entrance opportunity. And there is certainly, in the case of myself and Vince, meaningful careers in soccer in America. So, at the very basic level, we have what we call grassroots courses. There is a robust number of online courses now available, which I will make some more mention of later. But both my organization, United Soccer Coaches, and the US Soccer Federation have been developing content in the 4v4, 7v7, 9v9, and 11v11 space that, as you can see on the right, is quite minimal in terms of time commitment. It could be a morning, it could be half a day, and you can see those there. The idea is that 4v4 is currently the 8 and under model. 7v7 is currently the 10 and under model. 12 and under at 9v9. And then when we get to 13 and under, we go into 11v11. So these courses can be for people focusing on those ages, or they could be for coaches who want to kind of get an idea of the development pathway from 4v4 to 11v11. So even though you're coaching high school athletes, you may choose to have a little look at this material in the 4, the 7, and the 9, because it talks about child development theory, things that most of you as teachers would know, but it does give you that sort of holistic A to Z spectrum of the coaching programs. But again, these are the types of programs that I think you would enjoy potentially, but I would bring these in to your high school programs in the off season, maybe encourage some of your kids to look at the online programming, and we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go through the morning. Now, these are the courses that probably coaches of your experience and your level would be the slightly more interested in. So you can start to see on the right now, these are slightly more rigorous commitments in terms of hours. And when you look at months, obviously those are touch points, and then you come away and then you come back. The course that Vince and I are very proud of is the top one, the National Youth Diploma, which is really for the people working in the grassroots of that 10 and under model. And it's for club directors of coaching. And we really start getting into some academic ideas about child development, player development, socio-emotional skills, self-determination theory and psychology. So really, really like the National Youth Diploma. It is the best coaching course I have ever taken, even though it's pretty much stops at 11 and under. In terms of a pedagogy, andragogy course, fantastic course. And then you can see, as we've kind of interspersed them, the programs that we offer and the programs that US Soccer offers. And Vince and I both teach all of these. So certainly, whilst my organization is United Soccer Coaches, occasionally a club or an entity would like a US Soccer course, and we can bring that and deliver it too. And then as you get a little bit further down the list, for some of you that are really looking to potentially make coaching a career down the line, you'll see UEFA. And those are the European badges. And European coach education is typically the gold standard of coaching education in the world. And we have the ability now, if a coach would like to go to Scotland or England or possibly to Germany and take a course in English, but with UEFA, they can now do that as well. So you can see that we can have what I call horizontal learning, where a coach could stay at the 4v4, 7v7 and take a course, every 6 months, every year. And we also have a vertical pathway if a coach wants to go all the way up to potentially a pro license and coach in the MLS, or certainly, get up to a senior level of coaching license. And then very quickly here on the left or on the bottom, We are pretty much the only people right now doing goalkeeper courses. So the level one is for those of you that are high school coaches who don't really know very much about goalkeeping and up till now have sent your goalkeeper off to the corner to warm themselves up. We're going to help you integrate your goalkeeper into the training. And then ultimately, as you maybe develop specialist goalkeeping staff, they can go away and take a 40-hour residential course. And then we have a few other courses. And Vince will talk a little bit about a program we have specifically for high school coaches. So that is just a thumbnail of the state of U.S. soccer coaching education right now. And it's a pretty healthy one, despite the fact, of course, we're all kind of shut down. Warren, at any point, please feel free to interrupt me because I can't see the chat box. So let me know if there's any issues. So here is a very quick presentation for you about some of the types of content and things we're putting into the courses. You can see my email, my Twitter, LinkedIn, and I'll talk a little bit about membership here at the end. So in the US soccer, in the best traditions of US soccer coaching education, we tend to break the game into 4 components: technique, tactics, the psychology that's needed to be an effective player, so dealing with adversity, collaboration, motivation, etc., and then the specific physical skills and needs of a soccer player, as opposed to a cross-country runner, as opposed to a football player. So it's technique, tactics, physical, and psychological. And what I'm going to talk about briefly is tactics. We as coaches tend to get very wrapped up in the X's and O's, and that's appropriate. But if our kids can't kick the ball, pass the ball, receive the ball, shoot the ball, dribble with the ball, we're wasting everybody's time. So technique is not distinct from tactics, but technique has to be the fundamental building block. So the more time around the ball, the more frequency with touches, the better the instruction. So correct instruction so that practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. So if it's good practice, then it'll become perfect. That's critical. So we'll talk about technique, but I'm going to talk briefly about tactics and ways to get tactics across to a small group. And the best way from my perspective to understand tactics is its decisions. So when we talk tactics, what are the decisions that the player is making? And when you're playing 1 versus 1, there are decisions. And certainly when you're playing 11v11, some pretty robust decisions. And I'll just go through a couple of these little ideas here about how we build lesson plans and some of the methods we're using. So one of the ways that we tend to work, it's not exclusive, but we like to work in typically a progressive methodology. So it goes from small to big. We think that helps the players understand developmentally the simple to complex. And we also think that kids in high school, for example, if they know the session is 75 minutes, they know when to be putting in that last bit of effort to empty the tank. We might not train 8-year-olds in a progressive methodology, but we're probably going to do that more with our older kids. So if the tactic, for example, is something like combination play, give and goes and overlaps, we all agree the kid has to be able to receive the ball, get the ball out from under their feet, play the pass with weight, with good strength. They need to have a soft touch with the inside of the outside of the foot. So you have to have the techniques to be able to execute the tactics. But what we'll start doing then is, right off the bat, we might say, okay, get with a partner, just get out on the park and start executing little shadow give and goes with your partner. So there's no opponents, there's no restricted space, there's no boundaries, there's no north and south, but maybe they're running these little patterns through each other. Or you put half the kids in blue and half the kids in red and say, execute a give and go, red to blue, blue to red, and then they can work with different kids. So you can create chaos and you can create pressure and tension without having to use directly opponents and worry about grids and all those things. Once we've got some of the things that you want to get across in let's say, give and goes, now we put them into a restricted space. So boundaries, now we start having direction, and we might have objectives. So get to an end zone or penetrate through a certain channel or a side goal. So you can see how we're developing it through. Ultimately, we want to attack or defend, depending on what the topic is, a goal. So if the topic is an offensive topic, you're working with the team attacking the big goal, and the other team is working with you or supporting you. If you're working on a defensive topic, obviously you're working with the kids defending and the goalkeeper, and the guys attacking are important to you and they're part of your team, but they're not the focus of that session. And anytime we work to goal with, we always want some sort of counter transition option for the opponent. So that might be a half field, big goal, and then you put some target players or some small goals on the halfway line. And then ultimately to a scrimmage, a 2 full goals. So it's a very straightforward sort of skeleton. And then what we have to do is put the meat on that skeleton. Should be fairly straightforward content for not only coaches, but high school teachers like yourselves. But we want to manage the variables of the training session. So it's not so much 101 great soccer drills. It's much more about managing a couple of activities that you like and then being able to change the intensity and the complexity of them. So pressure is certainly opponents, but it can also be against a clock, and it can be because of the way you shape the space of the activity. Direction, is it a north-south game? Is it you can attack north, and if you're successful, you can attack south? That could be a way. Are you going to go on the width of the field as opposed to the length? Is it maybe a 360 type game where you've got the kid in the middle is probably your central midfielder? Manipulating numbers ups and downs with intentionality. So maybe instead of 7v7 with one all-time offensive player, which is perfectly viable, and that all-time offensive player is probably on number 10, maybe it could be an 8v7. So one team has to work out how to deal with numbers up or numbers down. We always want the counter opportunity. So all the activities have a goal for both teams. And again, we end with two goals and even numbers. A very famous goal in the English Premiership, which actually came off of his shin. So I don't think it was that great a goal, but that's my opinion. So we have, in the best traditions, again, of US soccer coaching education, I think we've made it quite, from my point of view, quite symmetrical and something that's quite understandable for coaches at the entry level. And then, of course, those of us that are slightly more expert or experienced, at least, can expand upon these. So in attacking play, we look to hurt the opponent with a penetrating pass, shot, or dribble. We try to support the player nearest the ball with depth. And then the rest of our team are looking to offer width and mobility and disperse to stretch the field. So again, try to hurt them with the ball, support that player and give them help. Everybody else get big, make the field big. And then, of course, the magic source of attacking play, the ability to be creative and improvisation, which is why I was a central defender and not a striker. Great picture of a bunch of Italians trying to get a ball off of a Spaniard. And so what we have here are the 5 principles of defending, which dovetail in. So they very much oppose. So if they're trying to hurt us with a shot, dribble, or pass, we've got to get to the ball. We've got to apply pressure. We apply pressure to deny them penetrating or delay them penetrating. And I could also add destroy, right? So then you try to win it. Depth would refer to the players helping the pressure, deny, and delay. So the cover players, the ones immediately around the ball. And then if the opponent is trying to get big and make the field wide, then we as defenders have to balance off the threat of the ball and the space and the opponent. And I think you'll appreciate if your fullback goes all the way out to a winger who doesn't have the ball and is not a threat, that's probably not the best use of that player. You might want that fullback to come inside the field to balance off space as opposed to stand on an opponent who's never got a chance of getting the ball, at least in the immediate. So these are our principles. Of course, as we develop, we want to make sure we know what it looks like when we switch from in and out of possession. This is the notion of transition, obviously. The challenge becomes with our players at the highest level, possession is sustained for periods of time. And so there are less transitional moments because the level of play is high. The lower the level, the more times the ball turns over, and it becomes quite difficult for kids to continually be stopped to address this topic. The key with transition, of course, though, is how quickly can we go from big to small, from attacking to defending, or how quickly can we go from small defending to big? I mean, I think speed is really a key issue there. Some coaching jargon. There is only one player who can make the decision about shooting, passing, dribbling, etc. So that is the player on the ball. The couple of players in immediate support would be deemed second attackers, and everybody else on the field would be deemed to be the third attacker, looking to stretch and unbalance the opponent. And of course, when we have the ball, all 11 players are attackers. So when your goalie has it in his or her hands, they have the ability to penetrate. If they roll it to a fullback, they could be the immediate pass back. And certainly when you're attacking in the final third, maybe your goalkeeper's at the top of his or her box and they're looking to be a passing option. So everybody on your field, when you have it, is an attacker. So we're looking to penetrate, support, and unbalance. And of course, defenders, somebody's got to get in the face of the kid with the ball. Then so it doesn't become a 1v1, a number of players have to offer cover. And then the rest of the defenders are looking to mark space and balance out the threat again of the ball, the opponent, and the goal. So how would we do this? Repetition, right? So just in the same way that you want the kids to practice dribbling a lot and shooting a lot and passing and receiving a lot, they have to practice decision making a lot. So if you go into 11v11 and there's only 2 or 3 kids around the ball at any given time, the frequency of how to play 1v1 or how to combine in a 2v1 or how to combine as 2 defenders trying to dispossess 2 attackers is limited. So at the beginning of training, the bulk of training is going to be much more in these types of numbers than it will be in 11v11. So 11v11 could be at the end of your training for 20 minutes to rehearse some things, but the bulk of the training will be in here. So 1v1s to 2v1s, that could be 2 attackers versus 1 defender, or of course 1 attacker versus the other way around. And then we go to 2s. Now, if you're in 2s, you don't have notions of balance and unbalance, right? So ultimately, I think in the high school environment, probably quickly you're getting into 3s and 4s at least, because now you have the implications of who's pressing, who's covering, and then who's defending off the ball. And equally, you have the challenge of who's got the ball, who's giving them support, and what are the rest of you do to make the field big. Function, we're not going to do a quiz here today. So sometimes people get very concerned about function. This is it in a nutshell. If you've ever thrown the ball to your goalkeeper and they've picked it up, then you functionally trained the goalkeeper, because that is a function of goalkeeping. If you've ever thrown the ball at the beginning of the game to your central defender to head it for distance, you functionally train them, because their job is primarily to head the ball clear. So when we're working with little kids, they're doing all the skills, they're doing all the positions. But as you get into your high school environment, and if you have the resources, maybe you take the goalkeeper and the defenders and you work on functional defending. Maybe you take the 2 strikers and you work on functional finishing. So function is that. So now tactical function is the decisions with the techniques for the position or the roles. So goalkeeper is an individual. All the players are individuals, obviously. Blocks horizontally would be maybe your back 4. Blocks vertically could be, say, your right back, your right winger, and maybe your right central midfielder. So you're working that block. I'll come back to situational play in a little bit. But function is a more elevated way of coaching, because you're getting to the point where you're not wasting. You don't want your central defenders practicing finishing for the majority of the training session. You'd like them practicing defending, because that's what they're going to do 90% of the time. Having your star striker who's got a nice chip on their shoulder and is nice and selfish and has improvisation and creativity. I don't like strikers very much, you can tell. Doing defending is a little bit of a waste of their time, right? Because you want them seeing the ball hit the back of the net. So that's how you divvy that up, is you. Some of us will create the lesson plans in our head. If you're very experienced, you have this type of thing in your head. You have the game, you know how it works, you know the dimensions, you've got the coaching points, you're good. Many of us, of course, and certainly in our coaching courses, we don't trust that you've got it in your head, so you have to write it out. So when I create a lesson plan, it's good to have a visual, a diagram, how it works. So what happens? So for example, in this game, when the red team shoots, one of them has to leave the field before they can come back on. So now the green team has a 4 versus 3 breakaway real quick. So you're basically trying to create 4v3s all the time. You need to have a good stack of soccer balls at each corner so that the team can quickly counterattack while the guy's off the field. So that's part of the organization. But the key is, why the heck would you want to do this? So what are you going to coach? And the idea would be, and this happens a lot, is the coach comes in with 2 or 3 points and they just keep repeating them for an hour and a half, which is okay. But what Vince and I would talk about is get some fundamental ideas about the coaching in the first part, and then add and develop those coaching points. So rather than same as above, you're giving them sophisticated and increasingly stronger ideas as they go through the session. So here's a real quick session for you, and I'm 9:30, so we're doing okay. So here we've got just a series of 1v1s. I've got 8, 16 players, whatever that is, 15 players. So 2 groups works for me. No common sideline, so that Ian or the coach can stand in the middle and work both groups. I could maybe stop this group on the left, but I could work the group on and let the group on the right continue to work, whatever. So we've got 1v1s. We set them up on the diagonal, and we've got a server playing the ball as opposed to the player passing it to his opponent, which I kind of like. So now down here in the bottom, the black player with the squiggle, he or she is receiving the ball as they're running onto it, and now they're attacking the white defender with the red arrow coming out to defend them. And on the other side, on the right side, black defender, red arrow, and we've got the white player dribbling towards them. If you have them come from the corners, now you automatically get some shapes to the curve of the defending run, and obviously the attacker's got to drive to the middle of the parks. 1v1, you could use it for attacking, you could use it for defending. We would probably recommend, though, that you focus exclusively on one side of the ball or the other. Don't try to coach everything, but coach the qualities of being out of possession or the qualities of being in possession. And then, of course, counterattack goals for both teams. And then all we do is expand it a couple of yards and go 2v2. What's interesting here, though, and I'll touch on it briefly. If you look at the grid on the left, the red arrows, the 2 whites are coming in from the top of the grid to defend against the 2 blacks coming in from the bottom. In the other side, on the right side, the black player with the red straight arrow is coming from a deeper position to recover to defend. So you've actually got the 2 whites for a while are attacking 1 black defender, and the black player is recovering. So all you do is you change the starting positions of where the players come from in the grid, and you can create all kinds of scenarios. So in the case of the 2 whites on the left, they can come out and be very combative. In the case of the player at the bottom of the grid on the right, he or she probably has to delay action and make action predictable to allow for their teammate to come in. So again, where you start players from can really radically impact the decision making, and you can replicate real game situations that you've evaluated, and you don't need to find a new drill. You can just keep doing similar activities. Then we take the common sideline out. Very quick, easy, just pick it up. Now I've got a 4v4. So if I look at the red arrows, I'm working on number 1 is pressing, number 2 is supporting, and number 3 and 4 are trying to get into balance positions. Obviously, I could work with the attacking 4. And then we go to a small-sided game with whatever players we've got. So that's a progression. Real quick, here are 5 methodologies that Vince and I like to sell to coaches. The most common, the freeze. So stop everybody. You step in, you make the correction. Hopefully you create a picture, and then you restart it so that picture can be recreated. That is an incredibly effective and probably the most popular coaching tool. I think we would all appreciate if it's done wrong, or it's done too many times. When I say done wrong, it's typically because it goes too long, or the information is incorrect, or you don't create the picture, or you do it too often so the kids never see the ball rolling. It can be a devastatingly damaging technique. So we could coach at natural stoppages when the ball goes out of bounds. We can coach in the flow. So they're playing and you're reminding them of things over the top. That should not be white noise. That should be specifics. So back four, step up. Uh, Vince, next time you get the ball in the midfield, look to play it out to the right side. So you can coach in the flow, which doesn't require you stopping the action. Coaching the individual, so you put a name on it. Now that player, be he or she playing, that's going to get their attention, right? So if Vince is my right back on the other side of the field and I say, Vince, tuck in 10 yards, because I've put his name on it, there's a good chance he's going to hear it and he's going to adjust. Or when they come out for a break or a sub, but it's in coaching content which the others don't really need to know. It's not worth telling 21 kids this information. Just tell the kid that needs to know. And then critically, and this is, I think, a real skill, is designing your training activities to create a learning opportunity. So goals in the corners or zones or channels. One of the things I just want to make clear here is these are not exclusive. So it's not like you use one of these. You might use a blend of all five of them. And most of us who are effective coaches are essentially using all of these tools all the time in our sessions in different ways. So a couple of quick ideas of how we build sessions. Progressive. So we go from small to slightly expanded to the final game. A phase of play. This is what we would call a phase. The diagram is essentially half a field, 2/3 of a field. So you're working on the blacks in that attacking phase, and you're working on the whites in that defending phase. Shadow play might be unopposed, so you just do some patterns. Whole part whole will be where you maybe start with a game, a scrimmage, and then you break out and do the training, and then you finish with the scrimmage. And then coaching from the game could be your scrimmage where you are in the middle of the field or from the sideline, kind of joysticking action. Not, again, exclusive methods. You may use a blend of them, but a variety of different ways. And if you can blend them, it makes training a lot more interesting for the kids because they're getting different influences and different challenges. So that is my brief presentation. On the bottom of the screen here, my email address, my Twitter. The website that I've highlighted is our current website membership page. And for 30 days, you can join anytime and be a free member, 100% free. And all of our online courses, a lot of content of soccer, but then also some psychology, countering sexual assault, heading safety awareness, all of those online courses, which issue themselves diplomas, are currently free. So if you choose to, you can become a member for 30 days, have a good look at the website, get in behind and look at everything and enjoy that. And then at the bottom of the screen there, Kevin Sims, that is the president of our association right now. He's a high school coach in Atlanta, Georgia. And in a couple of years, that will be replaced by Rusty's name. If any of the information we've given you was useful and you're grateful, if you tell him, it's good for me and Vince, and it's good for Rusty, and it's good for Warren, and it's good for Tasco, because he's the person that helps me get more resources for education, because obviously we compete for resources in our company with membership and awards and rankings and marketing and all the other things that my company does. So I wouldn't be opposed if Kevin Sims got 36 emails this morning from Texas saying, we appreciate you bringing Vince and Ian on. So that was my quick presentation. I'm going to try to get out and screen share back to Warren. Stop sharing. Did I get you back, Warren?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm back in.
Okay.
Vince, did you have something? I was about to turn you in the presenter if you're okay, Vince.
Yeah, I think Ian wanted me to show the high school diploma offering that we do. So
Gotcha. You are now the presenter.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for your time, and I hope everybody on this is healthy and haven't been impacted too much through this. So as a former high school coach for 17 years, I appreciate everything you do. And I know that you all make a difference in people's lives. So I'm just going to share a high school. Can you see me?
Yep.
You see it? Okay.
It's not up. There it is. Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Can you see my goofy arrow?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So basically what this is, instead of having a course that's already kind of laid out, because I was a high school coach for 17 years, I decided to kind of make like a music playlist approach, because every high school association, they all have their different challenges. So for example, if Tasco wanted to host or have a course, they could do a 4-hour course, a 6-hour course, an 8-hour, or a whole weekend. And you can just select from a list of topics and you can submit it to us, and we would design the schedule based on what you select. So it's kind of like, you choosing your own music and on a playlist. So by the way, some of these topics are just, a lot of these topics were developed by high school coaches all around the country, because I asked a group of high school coaches around the country to help me with the topics, and we sent a big Google Doc, and these are some of the majority of the topics. I've added a few. And obviously, we'd encourage coaches to take some online courses prior, like the heading diploma is really good, the LGBT developed by Dan Wogue, and the psychology diploma is fantastic by Dr. Bill Steffen. But so these are just some of the topics. Can you hear it? Can you hear it?
Yep.
Yes,
I see them.
Don't need it. Good to go.
Do I need to make it bigger, or are we okay?
It's great for me. I think we're good to go.
Oh, sorry. All right. I'll make it a little bigger. All right, because my eyes are bad. So these are just the topics in black are classroom possibilities. So you got the profile of a high school player, everything to preseason, postseason, the workload, which you all have that right, and I give you a shout out on one of our webinars that I think the Tasco does it right with just 2 games in a week. Thank God. So just little topics, right? Fundraising, and then we get into some soccer topics, matches. I threw in a couple of these, right? Developing a player profile, developing key performance indicators, tactical. We can just do a classroom session on quizzes, on tactics, set pieces, ethics, game day preparation, and transportation type issues. And the whole idea of this would be not us talking at you. It would be the high school coaches getting together in groups and sharing their ideas with what, for example, they were, for example, is there a bus policy that they use? For example, the seniors can't sit in the back of the bus, and so there's no hazing going on and all that. I'm sure all of you have already developed emergency action plans, so that can probably be taken out. Technology tools. So these are just possible classroom topics. And then the red are some possible field topics. Or some field sessions. So just technique, some tactical activities and games, condition games. Those are more like constraints-led games. For example, you can't score until the ball gets into your center striker, right? And then you can score. Something like that. That would be like a condition game. Shaping the team. Ian brought this idea from the Scottish Sea. Is that correct, Ian? I believe. So
That's correct. C.
Yeah, so that could be a method, if you will, and it's more like your large group training to one large goal. Maybe you do 2 counter goals, but then there's what if scenarios. So it's like an if then, right? So when we're building out the back, if the right back gets the ball and the opposing team's striker takes away the middle, okay, now what? Right. So that's an actual method that the Scottish FA use. gamification, Warren, I'm more than happy to come on some other time and just do a whole thing on gamification and how that works. I'm actually working on a book right now on it. But and basically it's just taking the video game idea, of level ups and power ups and pausing and banking points. And I see it. I've done it a lot with like B team kids, like club kids, because it motivates them a little bit and they play and they really give effort throughout. It's a unique method, if you will. TGFU is teaching games for understanding. Then there's, again, these are just, and then I wrote up here that, for example, Warren and Rusty and Fred, if there's additional topics, you can say, hey, Vince, can we add this? Can we add this? Can we add this? Sure, absolutely. So the idea of this is just to make it more friendly for state association, high school state associations, such as, you have a league, but like Ohio has a huge high school soccer coaches association. So if they wanted to bring in everybody, maybe they want 6 hours. With that, I was just going to show, I wasn't going to show that one, sorry. So if you all came to the TASCO event, all of our courses, by the way, that Ian shared earlier, you get an app, and the app has all the documents and some extra bonuses. So this is the one that I made for TASCO when I was there, down there this past winter. So these are just all the classroom presentations that I did.
That's not showing, Vince, right now.
Oh, it isn't? Okay.
No,
I know why. I know why. Duh. Hang on. I'm so sorry.
You're okay.
Should have stopped when I was ahead. Okay.
Now we've got your smiling face.
Yeah, it's ugly. Let me get to it. There it is. Okay.
Just waiting to boot up. I think there it is. Yeah, we've got the small quick tactics diagrams.
Yeah, so this is the app that if anybody came to the TASCO event that I did last year, which I was very fortunate to be asked. These are just some of the presentations that were in the app that I shared with everybody that took it. And anyone that didn't take it, they could email me, and I sent them this too. So same with everybody on here. So these are just game-based activities. There's a high school coach in Massachusetts, and what he does, he has he has index cards, like 5x7 index cards, and he has a graphic. And some days he just says, Vince, I just bring out the cards, and those are like some of their favorite games to do. And I just say, okay. And we have, like, for example, a sophomore who might be the player of the week, that he does. And they get to pick the game for everybody to do. So it's just, because, a lot of it's social, and getting along and integrate people. He's a very successful high school coach in Massachusetts. So all of our courses have the apps. So we have everything from urban soccer diploma, our national diploma, more than 10 users. These are just people that can access it live. I'm going to be coaching a high school boys team, like an assistant coach. So I started to work on an app for my high school boys team. So I can show, for example, in the high school diploma, how do you create this app? I mean, that could be a whole block. So anyway, I think, Ian, I'll go ahead and stop there. And
yeah, it looks like we're at 9:50. So Warren, we'll turn it back to you to wrap with your coaches and Rusty. Vince and I are happy to stay on as long as anybody would like us to, or people can reach out to us individually, but we'll turn it back to you.
All right, hey, I wanted to start off by saying thank you very much. That was unbelievably good, and I appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to join us, because I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for everybody else. It was one of our better ones, and I think a lot of it has to do with you guys' preparation, and the information was unbelievably powerful and helpful. So I want to say thank you very much for that. On that same note, if any of those resources that you guys have, you'll put those in the the side chat, we've got an actual resource doc. And I'm going to put the link in that you guys can get involved with it too. But everybody can access the resource doc, and everybody can also access the member link that we have for the webinars, where I send out an individual personalized invitation, but I'll put those up just yet. But with that being said, are any coaches have any questions right now for either Vince or Ian? Or Rusty? And by the way, Rusty, thank you very much. If you want to know the truth, Rusty's really the one that set all this stuff up. He was unbelievably helpful in doing it. So without Rusty, this didn't happen. Thank you, Rusty.
No. This is, hey, I need this stuff as much as anybody. Just because I got lucky and kind of know how to talk in public and win something doesn't mean I have a clue what Vince and Ian do. These guys, truly, you can't imagine how invaluable they are to the association. And the way that they believe in what Tasco is all about just makes it even more incredible. So just for me as a personal friend, Ian, Vince, you know how much you guys mean to me. Thank you so much for taking time and sharing with these coaches, because they are hungry, and this is just awesome to watch our guys get together on the weekends. Heck, I get in trouble now because I'm a private school guy, so I'm kind of slightly ostracized, and it's nice to be welcomed back into the fold and see so many faces of friends and everything. But guys, when I tell you that Ian and Vince will answer your emails and answer your calls, I'm not kidding. That's what makes it special. That's what makes soccer different than all the other sports, right? Just because I coach football, I'm be honest. We love sharing, and these guys love to share, and they're here to help you make yourselves better. So please, please, please use these guys as a resource anytime you can.
All right. And if you're looking at, sorry about that.
No, I just said thank you for having us. Thank you for having us.
No, it was really good. And I really like the what do you call it? The play of different ideas. There's some things I'm looking at. I'm really interested in your gamification of training, because that's something I've always thought that if you could turn into a video game where they level up, level down, that'd be hugely powerful. I've done a part of it, but not anything to like the level you've got. And I'm super excited to see something like that.
I'm more than happy to help. So just let me know.
Hey guys, here's a question that just came up from Arnold. You got the Premier Diploma a couple years ago. What do you recommend as far as continuing as coaching education moving forward from that place?
Yeah, great question. So the content that Vince was sharing could be really great for you guys, because you would create your own curriculum of things that you want to talk about, and we'll come to Texas and we'll bring some experts in, and we'll share and we'll collaborate. So it doesn't, in the case of Arnold, you've got to the Premier. You don't necessarily need to go and now get more technical awards necessarily. You might want to. If you wanted more technical awards, I would consider looking at maybe a US Soccer C license, something like that, or somewhere in there, because that's more technical. Or consider a trip to Europe for a week with us and do the UEFA C. We're going to probably go, hopefully, in December, and take coaches to take the UEFA C. So if you're looking for more X's and O's type content, if you're looking for more broader skill set to be a better manager, a better leader, we have the Master Coach Diploma, which is a week residential in the summer normally, and then you go back to your community for the year, and then you come to the convention in January. This year, or January 21, we hope to be in Anaheim. That could be a good one. The convention is a fantastic 5 or 6 day learning opportunity. And then we have another program called the Director of Coaching Diploma, which is for club coaches, but also high school and college coaches, which is a lot more what we call the soft skills. So things like leadership, ethics, but it's not high school specific. It's very much high school, college, and club people talking about, and it's budgeting, and it's writing your resume and your cover letter. So there's a great number of options, but if you want to reach out personally, Arnold, just give me a call.
Hey, Fred, to answer your question, and I think Ian can probably back me on this, any idea when in-person courses will start again? I can assure you it won't be before August at the very bare minimum.
So it's a great question, and it's obviously a difficult one. We are currently we've taken all of our courses for June offline, with a very, very modest hope we could bundle the entire summer into the end of July in Regis, Colorado. But I think realistically, as Rusty says, that's even if we opened them up and the school was willing to have us, it's not clear to me that people will want to travel and be in that environment. So I think our in-person education is probably lost essentially for the better part of the calendar year. If we have it, it'll be small groups, 10, 12 people in a big classroom and more classroom based. So we could come in August, September, October to Texas and do some content, but I don't think getting people on the field and interacting is going to be viable. I think our next big hit is January with our convention in Anaheim, and then our big coaching school in Fort Lauderdale. And I would like to think that we would be back to 75% normal by January. That would be my guess.
All right. Once again, if you haven't already done so, if you want to get weekly invites, that webinar contact link is in the chat, as well as the resource page. And do you mind if I put the slides that you guys had on in that resource page, Ian and Vince?
Sure.
And
Send you, Warren, I'll send you the playlist and anything else you want. So
that's huge. Yeah, because I'm really excited about that playlist. But I think there's a lot of things that could help and grow. I know that this is a good group of individuals that we've been seeing each week. So I'm really proud of having them in. But once again, if there's something that you guys want to see as far as coaches, if you'll email me or even send it on the side as we start to build future webinars. I said we started off this thing 6 weeks ago with 12 people. And it's credit to a lot of you guys that are interested in getting better and starting to make this thing grow. So I want to tell everybody I really appreciate you guys being here this morning and taking the time as a coach to try to get better, because I think all of us together make this thing actually work. And so,
look, I want to say thank you to you for inviting Region 2 in to join us. For those of you who aren't aware, we kind of did Region 1 at 9 and Region 2 at 10 o'clock, and that was a total waste of time because we ended up, why do that? So this is just better networking for all of us. We're now, again, we all have 40 coaches in there. You have 2 regions. We're getting fantastic content. So thank you, Warren, for inviting Region 2 in to join with you.
No, heck, I think it's actually more powerful because we get the whole Texas coaching family. And so I think that's one thing that you actually find out. There's a lot of people here with a lot of knowledge that we can all grow together. So I know it's one of the things I really like is people getting outside their comfort zone. I know a couple of coaches talked about, you're not comfortable when I called you out, but I think the beauty of it is that we find out that you do know something, and then there you can share. And so that's what makes this really powerful and really amazing. So with that being said, does anybody have any further questions? Like I said, I try to keep this to 1 hour because I don't want to waste anybody's time beyond that. But are there anything that you guys that can say besides make sure that you set it up? Oh, wait, here, there's a good question, Ian, for you guys that just came up.
Yeah. So Coach Barron, the question regarding, okay. So if you go to our website, Coach Barron, and you look at our courses, and you can sit and watch one in 2 hours, or you can sit and watch them in 8 chunks of 15 minutes, whatever you want to do. I would really recommend the Foundations of Coaching course. It's it isn't teaching your grandma to suck eggs because it's good reminders for all of us. But I think you might really enjoy the Foundations of Coaching, which has the attacking and defending principles embedded. And then if you're looking for a little bit more 11v11 global, the one I'm quite proud of is formations and systems. So the idea is that any idiot can come up with a bunch of numbers that add up to 11. The question is why, right? So if I tell you I play 1-4-4-2, and I think I'm the business, well, the question is, what is the shape of my back four? What's the shape of my midfield? What do my 2 strikers look like? So formations to systems, that's a good one. So Coach Barron, I'd get on some of those until we can be outside. And then join our webinars. Follow us on Twitter and take down some of the tactical quizzes. None of this content is pay to view right now. It's all completely free. And you can get yourself a nice little prep before you get to the outdoors. So look at some of those stuff.
Guys, on the online education stuff that they're talking about too, if you go in there and look, I think Fred put it on there. You can literally type in anything you're wanting for your session, for the day, for the month, whatever, and it's all right there. It's available to you. you can print it out. Let's say, especially if you've got a JV coach that's just kind of coming into the fold. One of the things I started years ago with my JV coach is there's no excuse for those guys not to have something prepared when they step on the field. And that's why I pay for their memberships to get in there, use that opportunity, freaking print it out. I don't care if they just print and go every single day to do something, but there's thousands on thousands of educational pieces that run their training sessions and everything. And if you'll go on and do the 30-day, the free stuff right now while you're getting everything going, you're going to get emails every day for the give and goes and all the different things that are happening that you can literally pay attention. You can literally increase your knowledge every single day with everything that's coming out from United Soccer Coaches. It's absolutely unreal. So, and we're trying to get as much of that information. We're sending that to Andrew. I know we got to give a little love to DJ, your president. Protasco's on here. So I got to give some love to the president for getting up this morning, brushing his teeth, combing his beard, looking pretty. So, yeah, there you go. Online 13 plus pieces.
I didn't know it's still live. That's great. Hey, it is good to see you, DJ.
It's good to see everybody too.
All right. Does anybody have any other questions or thoughts? We hit the 10 o'clock mark. I want to just once again appreciate you guys. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll send out a link for next week.
Thank you.
Ian, thank you so much. Vince, thank you so much. Rusty.
Thank you. Warren, I sent you an email.
All right. Thank you, sir. And I'll post that link in the thing.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
See you guys. Y'all have a great weekend.
Be safe, everybody.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Thank you, Warren.
No problem. Thank y'all.
That was good stuff.
Yeah, it was. That was really good. Hey, you want to say hi to Lord? Hey, I wonder if Haley will let you come over again.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, Gar. Hey, good job today, guys. Hey, did y'all? Everybody, this whole group's all signed up. Good to see you, Ellie.
JD, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
Turn these off. Shut this down. And now you can talk to JD.
You making it?
All right. Can you hear?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta get out of here. We're heading off to Stevens, though. I don't know if you can. I guess my things aren't plugged in. See y'all later. We got to take off to Stevensville today.
Yeah.
See you, Maddie.
Bye.
Chris. See you, Patrick.
You guys. That was awesome. How do you exit out of this thing?